Assalamu alaikum and welcome to our Sunday morning English broadcasts called The Call of the Messiah. These broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community. And just to remind all our friends, Lahore Ahmadiyya community was established by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullah Alayh. He taught us that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Khatmun Nabiyyin, and Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught us that the Holy Prophet himself interpreted Khatmun Nabiyyin to mean La Nabi Abadi. There is no prophet after. Some people say an old prophet will come to lead Muslims to the right path. Some people say a new prophet has or will come to lead Muslims to the right path. We reject this all because Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib Qadiani rejected it. He also taught us that all the revelation that Gabriel brought to the Holy Prophet Muhammad has been compiled in the Holy Quran. Nothing is missing from it. Some people say Ayah Rajam is missing from it. Some people say Surah Walayat is missing from it. We reject these. We say nothing has been left out of the Holy Quran. In the same way, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught us that the Holy Quran is perfect. None of its verses are abrogated. People say some of the verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated. Hazrat Shah Waliullah writes that some people say more than 500 verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. What is left? Please, someone tell me what is left if over 500 verses of the Holy Quran have been abrogated. Hazrat Shah Waliullah says, I've conducted research and reduced them to 5. But Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib said, no verse of the Holy Quran has been abrogated. The Holy Quran is complete and perfect. And similarly, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught us that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. And every Muslim is duty bound to conduct a jihad throughout his life. The nature of jihad may change. How you defend yourself may change. How you struggle to establish the predominance of Islam may change. But nevertheless, jihad remains a duty of every Muslim. If we are attacked by the sword, if we are attacked by the sword, we respond with the sword to defend ourselves. If we are attacked by the pen, we respond with the pen to defend ourselves. Jihad remains. Its nature changes depending on the conditions of the time and place. And Hazrat Sahib also said, to find a solution to any problem, turn to the Holy Quran and turn to the example of our beloved Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These days, in some places, members of our organization are being persecuted. They're being killed. Their businesses are being destroyed. Their families are being tortured. Even recently, members of our organization have been slaughtered. Even old men, over 80 years of age, were shot dead for no other reason that they believed that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the last prophet, after whom no prophet shall come, old and new. This was their heinous crime. Their heinous crime was to believe in the things that I have just related to you. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib was well aware that this will happen. And he gave the example of the Holy Prophet and his companions when asking his members to remain steadfast. And today I want to read some extracts from his writings and speeches. The first one is from a conversation, from a speech that he made. It says, the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. 13 years of it, which was spent in Makkah. In that time, the problems and the difficulties and the trials that the Holy Prophet faced, we cannot even guess at them. Our hearts tremble even to think of them. They show the courage, the generosity, the steadfastness, and the strength of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. How tall, how great a person is he, that mountains of difficulties and trials and tribulations fall upon his head, but they cannot move him in the least. Not even for a second did he become slow or sorrowful in carrying out his duties. Those trials and tribulations could not change his intentions. Some people in error say that the Holy Prophet Muhammad was loved by God. Then why did he face these trials and tribulations? But I say that if you need water, you have to dig the earth and you have to split the earth. Otherwise, how can you get water? You have to dig down many yards. Then you find good water, the water that gives you life. In the same way, the joy, the joy of being steadfast and firm of foot in the way of Allah, that joy is not attained until a person goes through trials and tribulations. Those who are unaware of this, how can they know of the joy of going through those trials, and how can they feel it? What do they know of the pleasure that he received when he was put to some difficulty? Trust in God, love of God, faith in his eventual victory was made even more firm. Love is a force. Love is the force that can get a person to do anything. If one person falls in love with another, they do everything for their beloved. It is said that a woman fell in love with someone. They would drag her away from him. They would torture her. They would beat her. But she said, even in this, I find pleasure. When those who color themselves in and show themselves in, infested with loves of this world, they find love in facing difficulties and trials and tribulations. They find joy in doing that for love. Then imagine the person who loves Allah, the person who wants to sacrifice himself to establish the unity of Godhead. How much joy and pleasure he will find in facing difficulties and problems and trials. Look at the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with all of them. How they were tortured. Some were arrested. Some went through pain and difficulty. Men are one thing. Even women weren't left. They were tortured in such a way that even to think of these things makes you tremble with fear. If they had joined the people of Makkah, then on the face of it, they would have been bestowed with great honor and respect because they belonged to the same people. But what was it which, despite the torture and the difficulties and the trials, storms of these things, get them steadfast on the truth. And that was the joy and the pleasure that had sprung up in their hearts because they had accepted the truth. It is written about one companion of the Holy Prophet that when his hands were cut off, he said, I washed myself, I performed the wuzu. And it went on. And at the end, he said, when you cut my head off, as it falls on the ground, it will be performing a prostration to Allah. And it was during this that he gave his life, praying, O Allah, let the Prophet know how steadfast I was. The Holy Prophet was in Medina at the time, and Gabriel went and said, Assalamu alaikum. And the Holy Prophet responded with, Wa alaikum assalam. And so he received the news of this deed. The point is that the joy you receive in the company of Allah is such that you prefer to be trampled to death like a little bug. And when the true believer receives the most painful treatment, he bears it with ease. And to tell you the truth, this is the sign of the true believer, that he is forever ready to die for the cause. If it's put to a person, embrace Christianity or die, then you should see what comes out of his soul. Is he ready and he puts his head on the floor to be cut off? Or does he prefer to become a Christian? If he gives preference to dying, he is a true believer. Otherwise, he is not. Thus, these trials and tribulations which fall upon true believers, they have in them their own inner joy. Just think, if these trials and tribulations did not bring joy, why would the prophets, all of them, bear them over long periods of time? This is a speech that he made, part of a speech that he made. And then Hazrat Sahib writes, in another place, when these verses were revealed, that those who worship idols are unclean, they spread evil on the earth, and they are with the devil. They are people of the devil. And those that they worship will be the fuel of hell. Then Abu Talib called our Holy Prophet Muhammad and said to him, O the son of my brother, because of your harsh language, people are very angry and they're close to murdering you and to murdering me with you. You have called the wise men fools, and you have said that their elders spread evil on earth. And those that they respect and worship, you have said, a fuel of hell. And in general, you have called all of them progeny of Satan and unclean. I am your benefactor. And I say to you, hold your tongue and desist from harsh language. For I do not find in me the strength to face the whole of my nation. The Holy Prophet Muhammad said in reply, O my uncle, this is not abuse or harsh language, but it expresses the truth when it is appropriate to mention the truth. That is the task for which I have been set. And if I have to die doing my duty, then with pleasure I accept this death. My life is devoted for this path. And I cannot desist from expressing what is true for fear of death. O my father's brother, if you find yourself weak and unable to protect me, then remove your protection. I swear by God that I have no need of it. I will not desist in taking the message of Allah. His commands are dearer to me than my life. I swear by Allah that if I am killed in this path, then I would wish that I am raised again and killed again and raised again and killed again and again and again. This does not make me afraid. It gives me pleasure to bear trials and tribulations and pain in this path. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was saying this, and his face was lit with the light of truth and holiness. When the Holy Prophet completed his speech, then seeing the light of truth, Abu Talib uncontrollably cried and said, I was unaware of your such high moral standing. You are colored in different colors. Your dignity and glory is such that I ask you to continue with your duty. So long as I'm alive, so long as I have the power, I will support you. This is from Isala Aham, one of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's early books. So you can see how in some places members of this organization of the Lahore Ahmadiyya community are being subjected to similar treatment. Why? Because they say the Holy Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet, and no prophet shall come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad. But compare yourself. You're like that group of Christians who said that Jesus is not God or Son of God. He's just a prophet of Allah. And they perished. But then God raised another huge nation called the Muslims to propagate the same truth. But to an extent, nations and people perish because of their own deeds and doings. And they have to answer to Allah for what they did. Let us look at ourselves as well. It may be that we are being tested. And if it is so, then we are walking along the paths of holy people that God sent. For they were all tried and tortured. Prophets of Allah were, Muslim saints were. How many names shall I mention of people who are revered these days, but who are tortured to death by Muslims for heresy? And that should be a matter of joy and honor for us. But at the same time, we should make sure that there is nothing that we are doing that is causing problems and difficulties for us. We should boldly present the message of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the servant and slave of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, who came and presented the true picture of Islam. Because if we disappear, then there'll be no one left in the world to present the truth of Islam, the correct picture of Islam. There'll be no one left in the world to say that the Holy Prophet Muhammad was the last prophet after whom no prophet shall come, that the Quran is complete, that the Quran is perfect, and so on and so forth. And God will hold us accountable and ask us, explain. You knew. So why did you let this come to pass? So let us be steadfast. Let us be firm. Hajj was banned on the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Hajj was banned on his companions. It is banned on us. So we walk along hallowed ground of those people who sit close in God's embrace and pray that God gives us a place among them in the hereafter. With that, our English broadcast comes to an end. Thank you very much for joining us. Our next broadcast is tomorrow at 7 p.m. in Urdu, Tadabbarul Quran, and at 7:30 in English, when we look at the message of the Holy Quran. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.